Good brother of mine has inspired me to kind of tell my story. 21 years ago today, a tragedy struck all of Americans. 9/11. Each of us has a story to tell about that day, where we are, or what we went through, how it made us feel. So I just wanted to share with you my story. A few weeks prior, somehow, I'm not exactly 100% for sure, but a few weeks prior, I had twisted my back, and unbeknownst to me at that time, ruptured my disc in my back, my L4 vertebrae. And at first they thought it was just a bulging disc, and they took me to the local hospital. I lived in a real small town in Nebraska. And they took an x-ray and really couldn't see much of anything, and then they gave me some sort of shot that said that would ease the tension, ease the pain, and it didn't work. So they decided to rush me to the only hospital in the area, which was in Omaha, to do an MRI and have surgery. The day before my surgery, I was laying in my hospital bed. I had just woken up because the nurses had brought me breakfast and turned on the TV. I missed the first plane hitting. But I saw the smoke and the damage. Saw people jumping off that tower because they had no other choice. We didn't know what was going on. Now, if you don't know, there is a SAC Air Force Base just outside of Omaha. SAC stands for Strategic Air Command. It is kind of like a second military command post for the president. To be in the center of the country with the nuclear arsenal away from the coasts and danger, where he could respond however he feels appropriate. And as we're starting to get news reports and finding out more what was going on that day, the hospital started really gearing up, because our president was in Air Force One, and he was circling Omaha. They didn't want him to land just yet because they didn't know if it was going to be safe or not. We had no idea what was going on. If this was a full blown terrorist attack, if we were being invaded, They wanted to keep the president mobile, but he was circling the base in case he had to land to give a response. The nurses were running back and forth trying to gather supplies and prep for triage, prep for the worst. I was immobilized in my bed. And I tell you what, that day I saw some fine acts of heroism. People who were sick and not well asking the nurses, what can I do to help? These people came to the hospital to get treated for whatever illness or injury or sickness they had. And here they were, volunteering to do whatever they could, even if it's just to be stacking bandages and getting supplies. And then we started getting reports. Not of the tragedy itself. You see, there were times when we had selfish, courageous heroism that day. There's always, unfortunately, a flip side to that coin. The hospital started getting people come in that were injured and hurt. Because out in the streets, as this tragedy was taking place, there were people that celebrated what was happening. And as they did, groups of people showed their extreme displeasure at those that would celebrate a tragedy that cost the lives of innocent people. So they were rushed to the hospital where I was. Wasn't a lot of them. 3, maybe 4. Police had to be called because we were hurt, we were scared, and we were angry. There's a lot of people out there that wanted to take it out on these guys that You know, it breaks my heart that men could do something like this to their fellow men because they don't agree on their ideals or their principles or their beliefs. That tragedy, we saw a lot of selfless sacrifice. But make no mistake, there is darkness in this world. And tragedies like that well, it tends to hold a spotlight on who we are as a people. Showing the courage and faith that some of us have, but also showing us the evil and darkness that others have. Sometimes tragedies like this, and I hope to God there's never another one, but sometimes tragedies like this put us at a crossroads where we as a people have to decide on who we're going to be. We're going to be the type of person that pulls together and tries to make the world a better place. Even if it's just a small little corner of it. Or are we going to be the type of cowards that would do something like what was done and try to destroy and hurt and kill? Doesn't matter how you try to justify or the reasons you may have. If you commit acts of evil, great or small, You are wrong. And I will stand against you until my dying breath. I wish more of us, more Americans, more Christians were that way. Standing up to do what is right and opposing acts of violence and evil just simply because we don't agree with what that other person is doing. Jesus loves you. So do I.